Hello everyone, welcome to the spring term curriculum video for Year 1. Let's review some learning from a previous lesson. Question 1. Why do we use finger spaces?
Finger spaces refer to the amount of space that needs to be left between words so that they can be read as individual units of meaning. In Year 1, we are reminded to place a finger on the page in between each word to create the necessary spacing. This is an important skill and a Year 1 objective. By the end of Year 1, it is expected that all children will use finger spaces in their writing.
Question 2. When do we use capital letters in our writing?
Capital letters are used for proper nouns, such as the names of people, the names of places, the name of companies, days of the week, months of the year, the word I, names of religious festivals, and they are also used at the beginning of sentences. What can we recall from a previous unit of work? Question 3. Where do full stops go?
Full stops are used at the end of a sentence. We shouldn't leave any spaces between the last letter and the full stop. We should use one space between the full stop and the first letter of the next sentence. If we write a sentence after the full stop, we should start it with a capital letter. By the end of Key Stage 1, children should be able to demarcate most sentences in their writing with capital letters and full stops.
What can we recall from our previous term of work? Question 4. What are traditional tales?
Traditional tales. A traditional tale is a story that has been told and retold for many years and consequently becomes a story that almost everyone knows. Traditional tales are also referred to as fairy stories or fairy tales. Stories such as Cinderella, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and Jack and the Beanstalk are all traditional stories.
Phonics. We will consolidate Speed Sound Set 2 before moving on to Speed Sound Set 3.
Here are the Speed Sound Set 2 phonics sounds. We'll go through them now. A, E, I, O, U, U, R, O, E, Ow, Oi. If you're stuck at any point, you can have a look at the school website to see all of our phonics lessons. Here are the Speed Sound Set 3 sounds and our additional sounds. A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U, O, ow, oi, aya, ear, your, shun, shus, and w.
Handwriting. We are continuing to use handwriting ditties in our phonics lessons. We refer to one-armed robots, long ladder letters, curly caterpillar letters, and zigzag monsters when writing, and show children which family the letters belong to.
What information and learning can I recall from my previous lesson? Question 1. Recall number bonds of 10.
Number bonds. Number bonds are the pairs of numbers that are added to make another number. Because of this, they are often referred to as number pairs. They are perfect for helping children quickly solve addition and subtraction questions, as well as helping them with their times tables. They are sometimes taught using part-whole diagrams like these.
Here are the number bonds of 10. Take a moment to pause the video and look through to find the pairs of numbers that add to make 10.
What information and learning can I recall from my previous lesson? Question 2. What symbols do we use to compare numbers, numbers of objects, or quantities?
Comparing. Comparing numbers is the ability to determine more and fewer, greater than, less than and equal to, and putting a group of numbers in order. Before working on comparing numbers, it's important that students have an understanding of the numbers and their value. These are the symbols we use when we are comparing: greater than, less than, and equal to.
What information and learning can I recall from my previous unit of work? Question 3. Name 2D and 3D shapes.
2D shapes. 2D shapes are flat shapes with 2 dimensions, length and width. They cannot be picked up. For example, square, rectangle, circle and triangle. 3D shapes. 3D shapes are solid shapes with 3 dimensions, length, width and height. They can be picked up. For example, cube, sphere and cuboid.
What information and learning can I recall from my previous term of work? Question 4. What symbols do we use for addition and subtraction sentences?
These are the symbols we use for addition and subtraction number sentences. This is the addition symbol. This is our subtraction symbol. And this symbol means equal to or the same as.
Number. We are following the White Rose Hub Maths scheme alongside the NCETM Maths Mastery programme. This term we are working with numbers to 50, investigating their place value, ordering and comparing numbers to 50 and forming numbers correctly. We also need to write numbers to 20 as words, not just numerals. Later on this term, we will be investigating length and height, weight and measure.
Take a moment and pause the video to have a look at our knowledge organiser for geography, Street Detectives.
Within this page you will find the key vocabulary that we will be using within our geography lessons. What information and learning can I recall from my previous unit of work? What is a timeline?
Timelines. In history, we use chronology and timelines to order the past really clearly. We use the word past to describe things that have already happened, and now if they are currently happening. You can see this on the timeline. We can use our timeline to count back in time. We can count back in jumps of 10 years. We can ask people about events that happen within living memory because they have experienced it. Events that happened beyond living memory are further in the past than people can talk about or remember. We can find this information from books, from the internet, or by visiting museums and libraries. What information and learning can I recall from my previous term of work? Name 2 ways to join felt material.
During our D&T lessons, we explored using staples and glue to join felt material. Wren's Nest uses schemas to lead our learning. This is our food schema, which links to all other areas of the curriculum.
This is the Wren's Nest Fashion Schema Web. It's used to link our learning throughout school.
Our final schema is technology. Take a moment to look at the different way it links our learning together. Geography, Street Detectives. This term we are learning about human and physical features in our locality. Human and physical features are things that you can see all around you. Physical features like seas, mountains, hills and rivers are natural. They would be here even if there were no people around. Human features, like houses, roads and bridges, are things that have been built by people. We will be using a selection of maps and aerial photographs to look at the housing estate and how it has changed over time.
Take a moment to look at the knowledge organiser for science, Messy Materials. It shows the key vocabulary we'll be learning this term.
This slide gives us the key vocabulary to describe the properties of materials. What information and learning can I recall from my previous unit of work? Can you name the different categories of animals?
Animals are sorted into different categories: mammals, amphibians, reptiles, fish and birds. Here are some examples of animals for each category. What information and learning can I recall from my previous term of work? Can you explain what a carnivore, herbivore and an omnivore is? Give an example of an animal for each.
Carnivores are animals that mainly or exclusively feed on the meat of other animals. Examples include wolves, big cats, spiders, owls, sharks, praying mantis and crocodiles. Omnivores are animals that are biologically able to eat both plants and meat. Examples include humans, dogs, pigs, bears, hedgehogs and chickens. And herbivores are animals that only eat plants. These plants can include grasses, grains, seeds, nuts, fruit and other plants. Examples of these animals include elephants, horses, pandas, cows, sheep, iguanas, geese and butterflies.
Here is a food schema that links our learning. Here is the fashion schema web used at Wren's Nest Primary School to link our learning. And this is the final schema used at Wren's Nest. It's our technology schema. It's used to link all of our learning.
Science, messy materials. This term we are investigating different materials, including metal, glass, plastic, wood, rock and water. We will know the difference between an object and the material from which it is made. By carrying out investigations, we will discover the properties of everyday materials, for example, waterproof and absorbent.
In Sunflowers, the children are exposed to reading in many different ways. This is done through whole class story time, which is done daily, so an adult will read to the children, and this helps them to develop their language and listening skills and helps prepare them to understand the written word. It also stimulates their imagination and expands their understanding of the world. Reading is also practiced every day within our phonics lessons. So they're taught a sound and then they practice reading words that contain the sounds that they've just learned in words. We use the segmenting and blending approach, so the children have to identify the sounds, say each sound using Fred talk, so k, at, and then they blend it together to say the word cat. We will try and hear your child read every Tuesday. Your child will bring home a book that they should be able to have a go at reading using their phonics. This may be in the form of a story or a blending book which just contain simple CVC words, 3-letter words. They will also choose a sharing book for you to read to them at home, and it should have a little sticker on the top corner on the front cover that says sharing book. This is for you to read to them at home. Once you've done this, please could you write in your child's reading record once you've read with your child. We'd like to encourage them to bring in their reading pack every day, because sometimes it's not always possible to hear your child read every Tuesday, so it might be we've got a spare spare 10-15 minutes and we'd like them to have a go at reading their book. This term in Sunflowers, we will continue to learn new sounds and consolidate ones already learned. In particular, we'll be beginning to introduce special friends within Set 1 sounds. Special friends are 2 or 3 letters that make a sound, such as ch, sh, th. Children will also be encouraged to practice writing these sounds within words using their thread fingers. So we've just learnt the sound sh. So then we would, after practicing our handwriting of sh, I would ask the children to practice writing some words that contain the new sound. So I would ask the children to write the word shop using their thread fingers. They will count how many sounds that they can hear. Sh, op, shop. So it's 3 sounds. It's 3 sounds, however, it's 4 letters because they're special friends. So then the children would write sh, sh, ah, p, sh, ah, p, shop. Then we'd ask the children to mark their own work. So if they've got the correct sound, so we'd say, right, the first sound you can hear is sh. Children would give themselves a tick for the sound sh. Then we would ask the children, what's the next sound you can hear? Sh, ah. And if they've got that correct, then the children would give themselves a tick. Then for the last sound, p, give themselves a tick. Sh, ah, p, shop. Then we'd ask them to spell another word. So the next word I'd ask them to write perhaps would be ship. So sh, I, ship. And again the children would mark this. If they did get it incorrect, then what the children would do is write it correctly next to the word. Again, they'll be practicing their letter formation, their orientation and size. If you would like to have a look at how to teach phonics, then all the phonics videos are available on the school website. This term we'll be continuing with recognising, ordering and counting down objects to 10. This will be done through practical and written activities. The children will move their learning forward and will begin to explore addition and subtraction through combining 2 groups and using practical objects such as cubes and part-whole models. On the screen you will see a part-whole model. This section is called the whole and it is split into 2 parts. A part-whole model is the concept of how numbers can be split. Children will use this model and it will help them to see the relationship between a whole number and what makes that number. So here we have 5 counters. So what we would ask the children to do is put 5 counters at the top, or whatever number, 10, 8, whatever number we're working on. And then the children are asked to move the counters down into the parts. All the counters need to be moved out of the hole. So here you can see we have 2 in this part and we have 3 in this part. So children will start to learn that 2 and 3 make 5 because that's how many we started off with at the beginning. Then what we'd ask the children to do is put all the counters back into the top How many have we still got? We've still got 5 altogether. So all 5 need to go back into the top, and then we'd ask them to find a different way of making 5. So now I'm going to have 1 in this one and 4 in this one. And the children will be asked to explore all the different ways of making a number 5, 8, 10. This will build on the concepts of addition, fact, families. So children will then begin to learn that 1 and 4 make 5, or 4 and 1 make 5.
Hi, Mrs. Blewett here. I'm really excited to tell you what your child is going to be learning for the spring term 2022. I'm going to go through what we're learning in literacy and numeracy and in our curriculum work and also in our emotional and social skills.
In handwriting last term, we practiced all of the letter families. So we've now learnt the ladder letters, the curly caterpillar letters, the one-armed robot letters and the zigzag monster letters. Now for some children that means that they can now write these independently. For other children it means they can just trace them. So now what we're going to do this term is each child is going to work on their own individualised target. So I look at which letter they need to work on, and that is the one that they practice until they can write all of the letters of the alphabet formed correctly, so that later on in their school life they can learn to join the letters.
In our phonics this term, we are going to be starting to learn speed sound set 2. So I'm going to run through with you the sounds and also the ditties, the phrase and the picture that goes with each sound. This helps the children to remember them. So we've got I, and it's I, may I play. E, what can you see? I, fly high. O, blow the snow. Oo, poo at the zoo. The children think this one's hilarious. Oh, look at a book. Ah, start the car. Or, shut the door. Air, that's not fair. Whirl and twirl.
In our talk for writing this term, we are going to be doing the story The Tiger Who Came to Tea. Unlike last term, we'll be learning to story map it and retell the story, and before the end of this half term you will get this story map sent home and the children can read it to you. I know last half term when we did the story of Little Red Riding Hood, the children really enjoyed sharing their story map with you, and they really feel a sense of achievement that they can read a story. So we will enjoy doing that this term. In our numeracy this term, we are learning to count to 50. Why don't you get your child to join in counting with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. We're also going to be practicing counting backwards from 20. Join in with me. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done.
Last term in our numeracy work, we were doing some work on mastering number, and we're going to carry on with that this term. I want to show you what subitizing is. If you say to your children, what does subitize mean, they will tell you that it means look and say. So for example, if you look at this number, they look and they say 3, they don't count it. So we've been looking at lots of different arrangements of numbers. So for example, we've got 3, 5, which that is the typical dice pattern, so the children know that really well. When you go on to more irregular patterns, then we've had to practice it. So you've got 3, they find that much harder because you've got 2 and 1, which is a really useful thing to know. It is important for the children to know that it's 2 and 1, but they have to learn that that 2 and 1 also makes 3, the whole set is 3. So then we've also got a 4, the children have learned that that's 2 and 2, which is 4, or double 2. So we're going to carry on our work on subitizing. We've also used something called a reckon rec that you might not have heard of before. The children have used this. It's like a miniature abacus, and the children have practiced using these beads, and we've practiced something called one push, so they know that they've got to do the same again. They've got to subitize. They don't count the beads, they just push it. So I might say 1 push 5, and they've got to push all of the beads across. All of this is helping them to get more numerate, to be able to use numbers in their numeracy work. So we're going to do lots more work on that this term.
Alongside our mastering number work in numeracy, we're also going to be doing lots of work on time. This is really important for the children to build on their vocabulary. So we will be learning about the days of the week, the months of the year. We'll also be thinking about time words such as first and next and last, and how to sequence events. And then we'll go on to starting to tell the time, so looking at o'clock times. In the afternoons, we split our time in the Rainbow Room between our curriculum time and our emotional and social skill work. In our curriculum time this half term, we're going to be learning all about houses and homes. This will go right from learning about vocabulary, that furniture and things that you find in the house and what rooms there are in a house, onto the outside of a building and labelling the different parts of a house. Then we'll be looking at different types of houses, so semi-detached, bungalow, etc. And we look at some photos of houses from around the Wren's Nest estate that the children will be familiar with. The children will also really enjoy going on Google Earth and looking at their own house, and we will do some really lovely paintings of their children's own houses. Finally, I want to tell you about our emotional and social skills work. Last term, we covered the 4 main emotions of happy, sad, angry and scared. We're going to start this term by doing some work all about the story The Colour Monster, and this will bring together all of those emotions that the children have been learning about, but also introduce the idea of feeling confused and mixed up and not sure what emotion that you're feeling. It's a lovely story that we really enjoy sharing with the children, and we'll do some lovely artwork and lots of sorting emotions and thinking about how we feel and how we can recognise emotions in other people.
Don't forget, you can get in touch to share what you've been practicing at home. Remember, you can email or WhatsApp us. We look forward to seeing what you've been up to.